What's up, geniuses? Welcome back to For The Record. I'm your host, Rob Markman. Now, today we have a very dope guest, okay? Not only is he part of the #1 album in the country, he's also the first rapper to use adjudicate in a rhyme. And he's
Clap it
here
up for
today.
adjudicate, y'all.
Bas, what's up,
What's
man?
going on, bro?
Yo, I told you I was going to get you on your vocabulary,
Yeah.
man. Listen, I heard you. First of all, kids, if you don't know, I mean, you might think it was the collaborative sauce. You know, Dreamville is hot right now. You know, maybe the Cole verses. It was a lot of things that could have propelled that Dreamville Revenge of the Dreamers 3 to #1. But the real secret sauce was vocabulary, was adjudicate.
You gotta expand your vocab. That's it.
Yo.
That's it, kids. Go #1.
That's
Use bigger
it, man.
words.
Use bigger words. I said I was gonna clown you because of that, but it really made me. I think about shit like that, right? Like I think about when I heard that in Self Love, right? And it made me think back to when Biggie, you know, Papa been smooth since days of Under Rules.
Right.
I was like, damn, we all know what Under Rules was. I never heard that in the rap before.
Right.
Or even your heartbeat
Those
sound
words
like
stick
Sasquatch
out.
feet.
Yeah, those words stick out. I think I've always tried to stay conscious of that, just
Right.
trying to find different words to say things. You know, it might be the same thing you're saying, but if you just say it differently, like, it's gonna stick in someone's memory.
Nah, man. And so that Self Love track too, I wanted to ask you about that because that's such a smooth vibe. It's one of the highlights off of the album, which has a lot of highlights.
Right.
But you know, if you listen to songs like Down Bad, Costa Rica, 1993,
It's a different energy.
It's very rambunctious. So I want to know where in Tree Sound Studios did y'all find the space to duck off and do something so soulful?
Honestly, man, it was LSD. I gotta get that one up. I'm gonna keep it a bug with you. We spent so many days like just rapping so hard and being super aggressive, and then I was like, man, I'm gonna take a day to chill and trip a bit and refocus. And I tapped in. You know what I mean? I got to get away from it. I went up to Groove's room. Groove has like the waviest room.
Yeah.
Purple lights.
Yeah.
You know, more loungy kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Ducked off up top. I think Ari kind of had it in the headlock most days. It was definitely her vibe. And then, you know, her and Baby Rose did the record. And I was just lucky to stumble in that room. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm getting on this.
Right.
Save that 16 for your boy. So
was most of the records kind of made that way? You just kind of stumble into a room and get it when you fit in type.
Right, you know, right place, right time. Like I walked in at the end of 1993. I was hot. I was like, damn, this is legendary. But in the same token,
spoiler alert, Buddy would have cut your verse off.
I know. Buddy's my guy. But you know, like Down Bad, I had just gotten back from Johannesburg. I was in South Africa doing some shows out there and literally landed in Atlanta, went straight to the studio. Jid was working on Down Bad. He had just done like his verse and hook, and I was just like, I'm on it. Save me that. And Cole popped in like, yeah, I need parts, you know? So that's just kind of how it happens. Like, you got to catch the record at the right time. You got to speak up. You got to write your verse. You got to get on it because it was just wolves everywhere. Like, yeah, I'm on it.
Well, you talked about Costa Rica. You tweeted about it, that it was 5 a.m. It was Heavy Jameson, Heavy Don Julio, and there's nothing but the Savages.
That was the best session I've ever been a part of.
Costa Rica.
Yeah. Just the energy was unmatched, dog. Like after we did the record, we performed it like 30 times, like just on loop. Like just everyone in the studio singing the song. Like it was wild. That's how the part with Ski Mask, the last bar of his.
Okay.
Yeah.
With an AK.
Yeah, like when he recorded it, it was just him. But then we were performing it in the studio so many times with everyone yelling it that at one point my engineer quick was just like, man, I'm just gonna record y'all doing it.
That's crazy. That reminds me of like back in the day, you'll hear stories of, you know, or even if you watch documentaries like the Nas, the Illmatic documentary, like they was all in the booth doing Represent, or if you saw the Showtime Wu-Tang documentary, doing Cream, like Raekwon, like they on the booth at the same time. It's like, y'all know y'all can split this up, right?
Yeah.
But they're all in the booth at the same time. So I feel like we don't get that energy no more.
Right. And we just had the mic in the control room.
Right.
We weren't even in the booth. So, you know, there was some verses, honestly, you could probably hear people in the background laughing or like, you know what I mean? Like it was just that kind of energy.
What's your favorite record on Revenge of the Dreamers 3?
I think Sacrifices. Yeah,
That's
I love
crazy.
that record.
You had, you know, it's funny too because that's one of those life records. And again, like the record had the album has its fun moments, and then it has this real kind of
Like sobering,
sobering.
yeah.
Damn, see.
Ah, got me.
Yeah, so listen, but that's also heavy what the Dreamville brand, you know, is about. Not that y'all all don't have fun, but man, I feel like it's soul food in a lot of ways. Like, well, the music that we get from y'all makes me think about life. You did an interview with Complex with Sean Sotero, who's super dope.
Yeah.
And you said the thing about Cole saying that he's expecting another child.
Oh
You
yeah.
found that out in the record, like
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know till he played us that verse. And, you know, I had to go holler at bro, like, you know what I mean? Like, is that like artistic license? Or you know, I know you're planning to probably, you know, expand your family. And he was like, nah, like it's on the way.
right.
I was like, man, that was dope. That was a moment for real. That whole verse was a moment, honestly.
Mm.
That song got a lot of soul. Olu went crazy. Sabas, me, everybody did their thing on there.
Right, that's dope, man. What about your project? Because you put a lot into your music too. But is it easier? And this is not you speaking for Cole, but for him to kind of maybe put that in the verse before he put it out in the world, even amongst his homies and his crew. When you create, does the music give you a space to where you might feel more comfortable revealing something about yourself, saying something about yourself that you would in the booth rather than in
Yeah,
front of the homies?
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's therapeutic. And then there's certain things you can't really mention to nobody. You know what I mean? Or it's hard to, certain things that are like harder to confront, even if it's about yourself. It's about, you know, maybe taking an honest look at yourself and dealing with some things that you're not necessarily proud of or happy about, you know, which wasn't the case for that. But,
Mhm.
you know, I know there's times where I've almost learned about myself, like through writing the thought out and through recording the song and being like, you know, and having homies be like, damn, I never know, like, you felt that way. You know, I never knew like that weighed on you or whatever the case may be. Cause it's, you know, it's hard sometimes to express those emotions, like just to your friends.
Right. Can we talk about, you know, and I hear it in your music. We were talking a little bit off camera before this about just the things that you put in your music. I think for those fans that really listen to Bas, they know the story of Bas and the progression
Mhm.
um of Bas. And then I think if you're just on the surface listening, you might miss a lot of things. We were talking about your story obviously coming up in Queens.
Right.
Your story, your persona, the detail that you put in your music is very New York City. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And if you come from New York, anywhere in the five boroughs, like it's certain things, it's like a dog whistle. Like on Fried Rice, the single you got with Jay, you talking about, you know, heavy like a pal.
Yeah.
And, you know, shoot, I'm gonna be transparent. Originally the lines on Genius was heavy like a pound. And
Right.
we talked about it amongst ourselves. I was like, guys, I don't think he's saying pound. It's Pele Pele.
It's a Pele for sure.
So, but you know what I'm saying is that, but unless you're from New York or maybe Chicago,
Yeah,
you
that probably
might not
wasn't
have
part of
put
your fashion, really. Yeah.
right. Talk about your story and how you, because you have a very street background, or not necessarily that you was the most gangster,
Right.
but you were facing consequences of that many of us get caught up in.
Yeah, you know, I mean, especially in New York City, man, like you really learn the value of a dollar, you know, and I think even growing up out here, everywhere you look, you know, it entices you to want more, you know, consistently want more, and you could find yourself, you know, compromising yourself or going against your better nature or your better judgment. And, you know, growing up here, those are where some of the pitfalls lie. So, you know, a bunch of us run around the street doing whatever we could to make some money, get a dollar. Um, but you know, I'm blessed. I'm blessed that I had a good support system. I think that's what many lack. You know, I had a good family. I had good homies. You know, Cole straight up pulled me out and had me come out on the road with him to Europe. Like
Right.
that was my first. I just, you know, I'd barely started rapping like a year or two prior, and that was just eye opening. It made all the bad decisions I made. It really put them into context, put them into perspective. Like, oh, like I'm selling myself short.
What do you think about that now? Because it's funny, I have written this down just on Night Job. You know, it's the famous Cole line, right? I'm on my night job. Finally got Bossy off the corner. 010. He thought he was a goner. He ducked shots. Now it's Boss. We got a phoner.
Yeah.
You know, and that's early on. That's at the formation of you rising up in your career.
Right.
And now you look on Billboard, and you're there. Now you look at these streaming platforms, and it, you know, it took somebody maybe believe you as an artist, but then it also is you putting the work in and being a part of something, and proving like, nah, I'm here for a reason.
Yeah. No, that's a fact, man. It's about consistency and discipline, honestly, and that's why I always thank like music in general. Like it's the first thing in my life I really ever like applied myself to. You know, and it disciplined me. It made me get in the studio. It made me write every day. It made me improve on my craft. It made me improve on my performance, and, you know, spend time with the homies coming up with marketing ideas and things of that nature. You really got to become consumed by it.
Speaking of the marketing ideas and just the creativity around it, speak to me about so Spilled Milk
Yeah.
is next, right?
Spilled Milk. Yeah, man. That's so, you know, I'm just trying to really build a new platform to release music. You know, I think sometimes we get caught in the album cycle so much. For me personally, like with Dreamers this year, this is the first year in my career where I put out music 2 years in a row. You know, It's usually been like a 2-year gap
between albums.
Yeah. Which, you know, is cool because you need time to grow. You need time to expand your sound and, you know, your topics and try to come back and give, you know, your audience some growth or a version of you, you know, maybe peel back another layer. But Spilled Milk is also, like we said a little earlier, like we're always working. We're always making music. We're making fire records. And, you know, this time next year, I probably won't feel the same way about them. So it's about, I guess, getting more current with when I create and when I release. So it's dope. It's a lot of records that came together at Dreamers Camp with some of the homies. It's all collaborations. Like, we're gonna release it in 3 parts. You know, the first part is coming August 2nd, unless I drop the ball on something.
Nah, we got this.
Yeah.
Ain't no dropping the ball.
No dropping the ball. But yeah, it's cool. That features obviously Jid and Fried Rice is gonna be a part of that.
Right.
Earth Gang's on it. Kid Dominant, Ari Lennox, Falcons, B. Lewis, Vince Staples, Saba and Smino on the record. It's just a lot of, you know, a lot of cool collaborations. And I was just like, man, I want to share these with the world.
Right. Did you learn anything about yourself during those Dreamer session? And I put it like this because we always compare music to basketball, right? Like, you know, one of the dope things with your favorite basketball players to watch them maybe take the summer off, but then come back and they might have learned a new
little move.
Yeah, like I'm trying to figure out with everything that Giannis went through last season. I'm like, I feel like he gonna come back with a new wrinkle to his game.
Giannis was at the sessions. Shout out to the Bucks.
You see that stuff?
That's
hard, man.
They pulled up. They catered like a dinner for us. They was in the Costa Rica session. Like a bunch of them stuck around.
That's hard. Any of them got bars? Any of the Bucks got bars? Who's over there?
I don't know.
Anybody trying to get down?
I don't know. I feel like George Hill was looking like he wanted to get on the mic. I would catch him, but I'm not sure. I gotta holler at him and see what's up.
He should have shot his shot.
Yeah,
man.
right.
But did you learn anything from them set, or is there anything that you carry over to when you start working on, you know, your Boss album? Maybe something you learned about yourself.
Like I kind of always knew it, but it was the best exercise I've had as far as like producing records, not necessarily like as a beat maker, but you know, being like, okay, if I'm doing this hook, you know what I mean, you give me a 16, like you know, you give me like an 8-bar bridge, you know, we'll throw some post production here, and then you'll come in with the last verse, you know what I mean, because you had like trying to fit even like a song like Costa Rica happened in one of my sessions, and you know, I'm just like, all right, well, it's goddamn like 9 of us here, 8 of us, so we gotta do 8 bars a pop, you know what I mean, like it's
just making that call, that kind of
right, just being able to really like produce the song from a, you know, the standpoint of kind of using all these ingredients that you have and make, and you know, I've applied that to my albums, but I think I gained a lot of confidence there because homies trusted me to really, you know, kind of quarterback records.
I feel like Young Baby Tate had a story about
Yeah, on
'Cause
Don't Hit Me Right Now.
she came as a songwriter into the sessions, right? So she
Right.
talked about being maybe a little timid and not
Yeah.
wanting to step
I
on
was trying to
anyone's
foster
toes.
that environment of just like, if you feel it, like do it. You know what I mean? Like let's. And I think all of us were, as that was part of the camp. That was kind of the the spirit of the camp, is to bring people together, give them the platform, and it don't matter who you are, if you know somebody, if you're part of our crew or not. Um, if it's dope, and it's gonna rock. So we were working on that song, and I had done the first 8, and then she was like, "Yo, you know what? I think like this will sound cool," and she did it. She like rapped it to me, and I'm like, "It sounds really cool with you doing it. So record it." You know what I mean?
So you put
And
in the lane. That's dope,
yeah,
man.
and she's dope as hell.
She's
So
super awesome. And it's dope seeing what's happening to her, even off of being off of that album. And quite possibly her trajectory was gonna be whatever it's gonna be anyway, because of the talent that she has and the
right,
work that she's been putting in. But these past several weeks, every time I go to her social media, it looks like a new highlight.
right.
Be it the Dreamers, um,
She
you
got that thing with Nicki
with
right now.
Nicki, and Nicki
Yeah,
posted the
yeah,
Megatron freestyle. Like every
yeah,
time I turn to Young Baby Tate, it's a new Sports Center
yeah.
highlight, and
It's
it's
dope,
fun to
man.
watch.
It's and that's a cool thing. Even with a lot of people I run into, or there was a tweet I think from Billboard when Costa Rica um charted in the Hot 100, and it's like this is the first Hot 100 hit for like, and it listed pretty much
Right.
all of us on there, and it's like and like we celebrate that together. We talk about it. A lot of people that are involved in the album, it's the first #1 for damn near all of us.
That's hard.
Um,
That's
Outside
hard.
of Cole, probably, right? So, um, it's something that like when we were making it in the moment, we weren't even thinking of that. We were just trying to make dope records, and then now to see it all come to fruition, and see everyone's profile elevated, and just see how happy it's made everyone involved. It just makes it all worth it.
Right. I want to go back to Spilled Milk. I want to go back to Fried Rice specifically because again, I think you had, and I think there's a notion, a stereotype of what New York hip hop is supposed to sound like, and we argue this for years, right? Um, and then I think when New York artists, like, you've seen the world just on tour, like you're past Queens, and your sound isn't just New York. Sometimes we tend to forget
Right,
that that a Boss might be from New York, that an
right.
ASAP Rocky, because his influences are wide ranging, might be from New York, even a French Montana or a Nicki Minaj. Um, and I want to know how important that is to you, because you put things in the lyrics where, like on Fried Rice, when you say, just even as a metaphor, the fiends got the city up under the wing like it's fried rice.
That's that good $3 special.
365
You know what I
maybe, you know
mean?
what I'm
It's
saying?
probably different now.
Yeah, it's about 360.
Inflation.
You've been away for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Might be
yeah.
up to 425 right now, depending on
But
where you go.
I think we all grew up on that. Four
Right.
chicken wings and fried rice. Yeah, I like saying things like that because I know where it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit home. You know what I mean? People are gonna relate at home. And I also think that you're right, but I think if we keep doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is keep innovating and keep being creative, then whatever we do will be associated to the New York sound anyway. And I think that's how we're supposed to contribute and helping it evolve.
Mhm. And that's the thing too, and that is my ultimate point, is that whatever that stereotype, that preconceived notion is, that you do a lot to stretch that boundary. That even though, again, you may be all over the world touring, when I listen to you, it still feel like, man, it's the kid from Queens, because it's just certain things that you say that wouldn't hit the same if you was from somewhere else, and that's something that I really appreciate when I listen to your music, man.
Appreciate that, bro.
Let's talk about the rest of these records, man. On Spilled Milk, man. What else can we expect? I heard one with Ari Lennox.
Yeah.
Little Afrobeat vibe, man. It
Yeah,
sound real
I had to take
worldly.
it to the continent. Shout out my dog Kid Dominant. He's on the record too. Super dope Nigerian singer, songwriter, producer. He actually did the Davido Fall record.
Okay.
Yeah. So I linked up with him in South Africa in Johannesburg. We had the same like security dudes. So we went clubbing together like 9 nights in a row. And then on like the 10th day, we were like, you want to do a session instead?
Right.
And we ended up doing like a couple really dope records. You know, I've always been heavily influenced by African music.
Absolutely.
Probably through my brother DJ Moma.
Mhm.
He's big on Afro beats. He's always been putting me on. So, you know, I love everything those dudes are doing. It's just new rhythms, you know, brand new rhythms. So, you know, it's inspiring. I just try to do whatever's inspiring to me. You know, you're gonna get a lot of stuff that is similar to the energy on Dreamers.
Mhm.
Because we rapping, it's the homies and we
Right.
rapping, you know what I mean? But you know, I thought it'd be a good time to just showcase some of the other sounds I like to dip into.
Mm. Um, how much, man? Because I've seen, and I'll be honest, right? Like, I wasn't really up. You know, your family. You were born in Paris, actually, but,
Right.
but your parents are from the Sudan. Your family is
Yeah.
from the Sudan, and I wasn't really aware of the situation going on over there until I seen your brother Eve and yourself tweeting about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I seen everybody you guys influence, were part of the influence for your fans and a lot of people in hip hop and just across the world to start changing their avatars to blue
Right.
in support. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? I still didn't quite understand the conflict because this is like decades long, a culmination of everything.
Yeah, it was 30 years.
Yeah. Break that down a little bit, man, because I think it's very important to hear it from you guys. I think coming up, we used to hear artists speak about world issues, and then a lot of times it feels like that's missing.
Right.
So when y'all spoke about it, like y'all really educated me or something and influenced me to be like, man, let me kind of look up what's going on, man. But what's going on over there? And
Man, well, you know, in a gist, it was a dictator for 30 years. His name is Omar al-Bashir. And, you know, the people finally had enough and started protesting, all peaceful protests in the streets. They had a massive sit-in. And what was special about it was they would just play music, paint murals, you know, break bread. It was Ramadan. They would eat together. And, you know, they sat there every day until finally he left office. And, you know, we had a glimmer of hope. But then the military council that stepped in after him was just reluctant to give up power. And so the people kept protesting, and they responded with, you know, more or less a massacre on in June, early June, where they just came out and they bust up the whole sit-in, live ammunition,
wow.
you know, killed hundreds of people, threw bodies in the Nile, all types of atrocities against the people. But the beauty of it is the people still came out after that and protested again, you know, peacefully. I think, you know, for all of us in the diaspora, we're just so proud to see that. You know, it's what we understand of Sudanese people. Just very peaceful, love music. It was really a whole revolution, like led by song. You know,
Isn't
yeah,
that powerful, man? Like
super, super.
you
Like,
know, and I think we sometimes forget. And you know, I commend you. I commend Dreamville too. Again, because we spoke about it before. As much as y'all like to have fun, there's messages in the music. There's healing power in the music, specifically that you guys create. But the power of music. You had a show over there that ended up getting canceled as
yeah.
well, right?
So our show was slated for January 4th. We're doing a whole like African tour.
Mhm.
But the protest initially started in December. And so by the time we were supposed to do our show, it just got a little too sketchy for our partners on that side. And,
Mhm.
you know, obviously it's dangerous to bring a whole crowd of, you know, kids together in that environment, because then, you know, you don't know how the police and the military is going to react. And, you know, it just wouldn't have been safe to do it.
Are you optimistic about the situation over there?
Cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Only because of the will of the people. You know, that's what gives us all Hope. They've been so strong throughout all of this. You know, they just got internet back.
Hmm.
Like last week, they cut off the internet for like a month to try to cut news and information coming out of the country. But you know, luckily everyone on the outside did their part, you know, to keep that going. So now they're in talks for like agreements, but you know, I feel like we've seen these movies play out before, and you know, power is intoxicating, man. Some people, more often than not, they can't relinquish it. But I think, you know, I don't see the people giving up. So
how can people support or help? Because I think often people see it and it was like, okay, it seems so far away. What can I do?
Yeah. Well,
what are some things that people can do?
I mean, you know, the beauty of this information age that we're in is that it doesn't take much to share awareness and make people aware. Even if you can't, there's a link that's been in all my social media bios that's to raise money for medical supplies, which I've just been overwhelmed by how many of, you know, friends, family, peers have donated, or like you said, changed their avatar blue. Like a whole lot of artists that I'm cool with, which they're huge influencers, you know. And so I think right now all we really can do is if you can donate some money, donate. But if not, I think most importantly is you know, to make sure we keep our eyes on Sudan, to make sure that, you know, those in power know that they're being watched.
We can spread information.
Yeah.
Same way we could spread those, you know, the funny memes, the hot girl summer, the bagel guy,
Right.
the things that we use to distract us. We can take a time out to share that as well.
It doesn't take much.
That's dope, man. Do you find it influencing your music in any type of way or?
Yeah, definitely in subtle ways. Certain themes, you know, just even the concept of like freedom and things we take for granted. You know, you start to examine them more from a contrasting lens, like, you know, from people who don't have it. You know what I mean? It's definitely, you know, made its way.
Dope, super dope. All right, so Spilled Milk is coming.
ASAP.
In volumes.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a dope summer. What's your favorite record off of Spilled Milk? What's the one you're most excited? Man. I'm actually, which child is your favorite?
That's hard. You know, there's a different mood for everything.
Yeah.
I'm really digging Jollof Rice right now.
Jollof Rice is dope.
Yeah.
Produced by Diesel, you said, right?
Yeah, shout out to Diesel. Shout out to Earth Gang. That record came about like 6 a.m. Me and Wild Great, damn near delusional, just sitting there in front of the mic. You know, there was one seat in front of the mic and the couch, and we're just flipping back and forth, doing 4 bars, going back, doing 4 bars, and we were just messing around. But then the next day we woke up like, damn, that shit tight. So I'm excited for everyone to hear it.
Dope, man. And there's a record that I heard with Olu and Vince Staples.
Yeah.
I don't know when they're gonna get it.
Yeah,
it's
part
fire.
2.
Okay, it's part 2. They're gonna have to wait a little bit, but it's definitely like super fire, man.
Thank you, bro.
Bas, man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate conversations like this. I appreciate moments like this. You know, you're in the midst again of, you know, it's the championship parade, man. Yeah. I got the number 1 album in the country. You know what I'm saying? The fact that you stop by and kind of share the stories and give the people insight behind the music that they listening to and come to Genius, man, is super dope.
Thanks
man.
for having
me. Appreciate it. Of course, man. Now, before I get you out of here, man, we do one thing here for the record. That's a tradition.
Yeah.
Because we're all fans of the music at the end of the day.
Right.
So I like to take artists out of their comfort zone and say, do you have a favorite verse that's not your own?
Yeah.
And could you spit it?
I got to go with Hove.
Why not? We're in Brooklyn.
I got to go with Hove. All right, bet. We used to fight for building blocks. Now we fight for blocks with buildings that make a killing. The closest of friends when we first started, but grew apart as the money grew and soon grew black-hearted. Thinking back when we first learned to use rubbers, he never learned, so in turn, I'm kidnapping his baby's mother. My hand around the collar, feeding the cheese. She said it tasted dollars was shitty, so I fed her 50s. About his whereabouts, I wasn't convinced. I kept feeding him money till the shit started to make sense. Who used to ever foresee? We used to stay up all night at slumber parties. Now I'm trying to rock his bitch to sleep. All the years we was real close. Now I see her fears through her tears. No, she wishing we were still close. Don't cry, it is to be. In time, I take away your miseries and make them mine. The evils.
Ah, my man, Bas.
I was trying not to fuck that up. That's
you got
legendary.
It, man.
All right.
I seen the concentration.
I was like, hold on. It's been a minute.
You spit it like you wrote it, man.
Shout out to Hov.
Nah, man. Shout out to Hov. And shout out to y'all for checking us out this week. We're going to be back next week, man. Talk to us in the comments. You know I'm in the comments. I talk back. Unless y'all talk it disrespectful, man. But sometimes I want that smoke. It's For The Record. Peace.